Hello, everybody, and here we go. We're going to solve some trig equations, actually three, all on the interval 0 to 2 pi. So we're going to do all three in one video, so fast forward or pause or whatever you need to do as needed. We'll start with this one right here. So they're going to get probably from easiest to most difficult. So 4 sine x plus 9 equals 7. You solve these just like a regular algebraic equation. You want to get x by itself on a regular algebraic equation. On a trigonometric equation, in this case, you just want to get the sine x by itself, or whatever it is, the cosine x. So it's very simple. You just like if the sine x were an x, you would just subtract 9 and divide by 4 here. So I'm going to do that. Subtract 9 to both sides, divide by 4. And we're left with sine x equals -1/2. So now it comes down to a very, very simple trig equation that we have looked at before. You're just trying to figure out where sine of x equals -1/2. So I'm going to refer to my unit circle here. Sine is y. And 1/2 is the short distance of y. So I'm going down on the y-axis, -1/2. The short distance, which would indicate it's this spoke and this spoke. So since we're going on 0 to 2 pi, that means we're going once around the circle. So all I have to do is count. And it's in radians because it's 2 pi. So I'm going to count pi over 6's, and those are going to be my answers. So the first green answer is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pi over 6. And then we have the second one, we're at 7 here, 8, 9, 10, 11 pi over 6. So those are your two solutions. The easy check here would be on your calculator in radian mode, do 4 sine of 7 pi over 6 plus 9 and make sure you get 7, and do the same with the other one. So those are, hopefully, you find this pretty straightforward. The next one we're going to do is this one, 5 cosecant squared x minus 10. It's a little bit more complicated, but if you're good with your algebra skills, it's as simple as a quadratic equation because this is a square. So we're going to get cosecant by itself. So you add 10 and divide by 5. So dividing by 5, you get 2. Now it's cosecant squared. So just like if it were x squared, you would square root both sides. So we're going to square root both sides. When you square root both sides, when you even root both sides, don't forget your plus or minus. So when you square root cosecant squared, you get cosecant. And then plus or minus, because of the square root of 2. So now we have to figure out where cosecant is plus or minus the square root of 2. Let's change it to sine, as usual, and just take the reciprocal. So as you probably know, hopefully know by now, that's the same thing as the root 2 over 2. You just multiply root 2 over root 2. And this is we know where this is on the unit circle. We're looking to see where sine is plus or minus root 2 over 2. And that happens on the 45-degree spokes, or the pi over 4 spokes in this case. Sine is positive root 2 over 2 with all-star trig class, or with y being positive. I know it's here or here. So that's positive root 2 over 2, positive root 2 over 2. Now it's very important that you remember the plus or minus, because it's also saying we're also looking where sine is negative root 2 over 2, which is down here and down here. So we have 4 solutions, and just count. sine is plus or minus root 2 over 2 on 1 pi over 4 to 3 pi over 4 for 5 pi over 4, 6, 7 pi over 4. So these are all the solutions to that equation. And finally, the last one looks a little bit more complicated, but you're going to see it's not. If you just follow your normal procedures in solving a regular algebraic equation, the first thing I would do here is it looks like a quadratic equation because you have an x squared and an x. So normally I would try to set that equal to 0 and see what happens, see if I can factor it. So what I'm going to do is move this 3 over here, subtract 3 on both sides, and you see those cancel out. So you have this equation. It's really important here to remember your factoring. The first thing you look for when you're factoring is a common factor. And notice that both of these terms are cosine. One's cosine squared, the other's cosine. It's a common factor. You factor out the common factor of cosine, and it works just like factoring out an x. This would become cosine to the first. And when you factor out cosine from cosine, you're left with 1. Quick check is distribute back in. So cosine times cosine is cosine squared, plus cosine times 1 is cosine. You'll get what you started with. So like always on quadratic equations, when we factor, we have two mini equations. We have cosine x, this cosine x, and set it equal to 0, that first factor. And the second factor, cosine x plus 1, set that equal to 0. So this one we're all set. We just have to figure out where cosine is 0. This one, just subtract 1. So that's saying we have to find out where cosine is -1. So draw the unit circle as usual. Let's deal with this one first. Cosine is 0. We have to look to see where x is 0. Well, that would happen right here at 0, 1, and right here at 0, -1. So those are two solutions right here. This angle and this angle. And then we have to figure out where does cosine equal a -1. Well, this is 1, 0, so that's not -1. So, but this one is -1, 0, and so x is -1, so this is definitely another answer. So the three answers to this problem are right there. This blue spoke, this purple spoke, and this red spoke. So these are all in intervals of pi over 2. So the first one is positive pi over 2, because we're going from 0 to 2 pi. The next one is pi. So 1 pi over 2, 2 pi over 2, 3 pi over 2. And we're done. The next video, hopefully you will find it. It should be right after this one. Is we're going to check these with a calculator. And that's going to be pretty easy. So stay tuned for that.